Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Amber and I upload beauty and true crime content. If they're the type of videos that you like to watch, then why not hit the subscribe button and come along and join our little family. And if you're already part of the family, then make sure the notification bell switched on just so you're notified of whenever I upload a video. So guys, I am back with another Missing Monday, and today's case is about the disappearance of Tammy Kingery. So on the morning of September 20th, 2014, Tammy Kingery called her husband from work to say that she wasn't feeling too good and would he be able to come and pick her up to take her home. He picked her up from work and took her home and then went out to run some errands. When he returned home, the house was locked up and Tammy was not there. She never returned and has not been seen since. Tammy Russell Kingery. She was born on April 13th of 1977 and she was a native of northwest Indiana. Tammy met her husband Park Kingery there in the mid-1990s, where the two worked together at a local drugstore. On September 20th of 1994, the two were engaged and soon after they got married. After getting married, the couple went on to have 3 children and they settled down in a house that they had built in a wooded area of Edgefield County, South Carolina, which was just north of North Augusta. Park Kingery had gotten a job as a welder nearby, and after finishing a degree in nursing in 2001, Tammy took a job as a nurse in a local branch of the NHC healthcare nursing home. She was still working there in September of 2014 when she went missing. The marriage between Park and Tammy was, however, strained, but her father was not aware of any issues between the pair. He says that he'd not been aware of any marital psychological issues that his daughter may have had at the time, but her mother did say that the couple had grown apart. The pair had considered divorce. Tammy had had an ongoing struggle with depression, which she did take medication for, and it had led to extramarital affairs and attempts to take her own life. So during the first weeks of September, Tammy seemed to be suffering physically. According to Park, she had missed a few days of work, which was very, very unlike her. She often went to bed shortly after returning from work. Park did go on to say that, you know, Tammy was one of these people, she wasn't very optimistic. She didn't believe that any treatment would work and any treatment would help her, which when you are someone who has mental health, I suffer a lot with anxiety. If you have a negative mindset, it only makes things worse. So in the middle of that month, around the September 16th, Tammy had begun having trouble sleeping. One night she woke up sweating so severely that she had to change her clothes. She confided in her 2 sisters and told them this. They advised her to make an appointment to see a doctor, which she did for September the 21st. On the morning of September 20th, 2014, Tammy went to work. She started a shift at 7 AM. Her co-workers did say that she seemed like very agitated about something. She had a very short fuse and she checked her blood pressure 4 times, finding it high. They urged her to calm down, as it was her being so agitated that was causing her heart rate to be so high. So not long after she'd arrived at work, this was when she made a phone call to her husband to come and pick her up because she wasn't feeling well. She said that she was feeling a little bit lightheaded and that she just wanted to go home. So she left her car at work and Park arrived to pick her up. He brought her home and she got changed into her pyjamas and she laid down to take a nap. At around 10 AM he left with the couple's 2 sons and he decided that he was going to do some errands and give his wife some rest. They also did have a daughter, and the daughter was actually sleeping at a friend's house and she was still at that friend's house at this time. Park dropped the older son off at his mother's house so the boy could help mow the lawn. He took his younger son with him to run several errands and they were actually seen by security cameras. When he returned to the house, the dog was outside but the door to the house was locked, and then when they did get inside they found a note from Tammy and it said, "Gone for a walk, be back soon, love you." Tammy was initially reported to have took a Hard Rock Cafe backpack with her, but this was later corrected as the backpack had been sold a week earlier at a yard sale. Her purse, wallet, cell phone and keys were still inside the house. When her husband saw the note, he believed that there was something wrong straight away. His first thought was that she'd attempted to walk back to her job to pick a car up. He left his sons at home and drove the road that she would normally take to work, but he didn't find her. He then called his daughter and told her to get into a car with her friend and look for her mother. He called his mother-in-law, who came to the house straight away. At the home, he and his son called and searched for Tammy in the thick surrounding woods. At 2 PM p.m. they decided that they needed to call the police. So then deputies from the Edgefield County Sheriff's Office responded. They too attempted to locate Tammy, but they could not. They had no luck. They searched the house for any signs of crime that might have been committed, but there was nothing unusual. The search dogs were given the nursing scrubs that Tammy had been wearing that morning, but they didn't find any trail anywhere. The search was then quickly expanded to South Carolina Law Enforcement Division helicopters, and more deputies fanned out over the larger area around Tammy's house. They also searched a hiking trail near Interstate 20 where Tammy had often gone. A notice put out for her drew reports of sightings of her in the central Savannah River area of South Carolina and Georgia around North Augusta. One of a white female walking along the interstate in Columbia County, Georgia, 30 miles to the west, but by night time neither Tammy nor any clues about her whereabouts were found. Park, her husband, who had personally travelled as far as Atlanta looking for his wife, organised a volunteer search for her a week after her disappearance, but again the woods within 10 miles of his house yielded nothing. Families and friends, they got together, they produced flyers, they tried to get the word out that she was missing, distributed them around the area. They relied on truck drivers that they knew could carry them further away. They also set up a Facebook page. Deep in the woods near the house, the volunteer searchers caught the scent of something that they thought was a corpse. They followed it to an abandoned wooden shack in the area. Inside they found sponges, gloves and a plastic bag containing a dead dog. The source of the dead smell was this dead dog. While many of them believed the shed may have had some connection to Tammy's disappearance, the sheriff's office checked this and they do believe it's just a coincidence. There's no link between this and Tammy's disappearance. However, there were a lot of the volunteers that weren't easily convinced about this, and a lot of them said that someone must have gone to a lot of trouble to put a dead dog there. Other people said that even if this wasn't linked to Tammy's disappearance, it did show that there were potentially violent and dangerous people around where they lived, because this was only found within the vicinity of the household owned by Tammy and her family. Further attempts to search in the woods were curtailed when South Carolina's deer season began shortly afterward, making the woods unsafe. Initially, the police kept details about Tammy's depression out of their public statements on the case. They believed that merely describing her as endangered without saying why might help them find her, and they thought it would help them to weave out the genuine tips from the hoax calls of mistaken identity. But by late September, Park decided that he wanted to come forward and make this public knowledge. He hoped that the public would then recognise the urgency to try and find her because of her mental state. Police looked at Tammy's phone to see if there was anything on there that might help establish where she might have gone or what might have happened to her. They found 2 sets of text messages from other men, which they did describe as romantic in nature, that Tammy had apparently deleted prior to her disappearance. However, they investigated the 2 men and they don't believe that they had anything to do with her disappearance. Tammy shared her husband's enthusiasm for motorcycles, and 2 tips investigators received suggest that one might have been involved in her disappearance. Her daughter does claim to have seen her mother as the passenger on a motorcycle that passed the car that she was in with her friend while they were near the family home, but they were unable to locate it when they turned around. Later attempts by the police to find this or any evidence of this, it wasn't successful. A neighbour also recalls hearing a vehicle with a loud engine, possibly a motorcycle, leaving Tammy's residence shortly after Park left with his son. The circumstances of Tammy's disappearance has proved a very puzzling one for investigators and for family and friends. Her family and friends, come out to say that it would be very unlike her for her to go for a walk in the woods around the house, because where their house was, it was very not pedestrian friendly. So if she did want to go somewhere and go for a walk, she would more likely get in her car and drive somewhere. They also found it unusual that she did leave a note, as she always kept in touch with her family, friends and co-workers via text messages. She could have just texted Park to say, I'm going to go for a walk, I'll see you when I get back. And they did also think that the note, which concluded saying love you, seemed very final. It was almost as if she was expecting to be away for a long period of time, not just hours. It was also speculated that the note was maybe not written by her, but after her disappearance, the State Law Enforcement Division confirmed that it definitely was. A week after Tammy's disappearance, police officially stated that they believed that there were suspicious circumstances surrounding the case. Her family likewise believes this, and they are suspicious that she could have been victim to foul play. Her husband did go on to do an interview with a local TV station, which was sort of a year after she went missing, and he did say, that it was unfortunate that she developed depression, and he thinks that's what led to her leaving. He said that Tammy would sometimes tell him that she just needed to get away, and according to one account she did have an attempted suicide 2 weeks before her disappearance, and it has been suggested that the disappearance was another suicide attempt that would have left her body undiscoverable. Alternatively, people, you know, there is this chance that it could have been foul play and that someone else may have been involved. Tammy may have been abducted or killed. The family has asked the police to search bodies of water in the area that they may have bypassed before. The chief investigator on the case for the Sheriff's Department said in 2016 that a body would have floated to the surface by now, so there is no point in them searching the water. After the initial searches, police decided to do a thorough investigation of Park Kingery, her husband. His account of his actions and whereabouts on the morning that Tammy disappeared. His account, however, was corroborated by independent interviews with both of his sons, along with cell phone pings and security camera footage from the stores that he'd been in. He also took a lie detector test, which he told Tammy's mother did make him nervous, but I think that would make anyone nervous. After initially telling the Curious Times podcast almost a year after Tammy's disappearance that the police told some of his results were questionable, he then went on to tell the Discovery Channel's Disappeared series investigations, like they did a documentary on her, that the police had asked him not to talk about it. Unlike other missing person cases, there is no current reward available for the information leading to the resolution of the case, because Park said that he's had to use the $4,000 that he put up as a reward to put towards bills because he doesn't have his wife's income. And he said that I wish I could have put more out, but it's gone. That was my money out of my retirement fund. He then later had to file for bankruptcy. I will leave information down below in regards to who you can get in touch with if you have any information regarding Tammy's case, and if you do, please do not hesitate to get in touch. The family still want to know what's happened to Tammy. I just think this case is mind-blowing, but I do think it's quite poignant that she had mental health issues, and I find it slightly worrying that, you know, there was that possible suicide attempt not long before she went missing. She was having problems sleeping, which tells me she was overthinking about something, because that's when my anxiety is bad and when I can't sleep. Has she possibly committed suicide but done it in a way that she didn't want her body to be found? I'm not sure. I don't really know. Or maybe has it just become too much for her and she's just snapped mentally and she needed to just get away from it all? You know, she did used to say to her husband she wanted to get away from it all. I'm not 100% sure that foul play has been involved in this one, but it's a very mysterious one. I would love to know your thoughts and feelings. If you've got any theories on the case, let me know that down below, and I shall see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Mwah.